I wish I never had to leave this magical place.
Hello and welcome back to Off Harbor in Maine. I'm Joel Covey and I'm joined by my close friends to discuss Disney theme parks and more. Joining me today is Beth.
Hello, everyone.
Matt.
Hey, guys.
Derek.
Hi there.
And we have a special guest today joining us for the very first time. The incomparable, the Emmy award-winning Steevin Love.
There he is. That's my husband. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
So
We're recording in different rooms.
We keep our relationship and marriage separate.
That's where they sleep, in those different rooms, right?
Yes, exactly.
We go to separate parks whenever we go out too.
Yeah, we have to pick Disneyland, DCA. We don't go to the same one.
Not at the same time. No. Well, welcome, guys. Thanks for coming, Steevin. And today on episode 25, we'll hear from Beth and Steevin, as well as Derek, about their recent return to Disneyland and California Adventure. And then we'll reminisce about the small things we loved that are no longer in the parks in a new series where we kind of break down something smaller than, say, like an attraction, but something that still lives on in our memories. Today, it's Blue Ribbon Bakery and some subtle things on Main Street USA. But before we get into that, let's go around our virtual tropical lanai just to say hi to my co-host and hear what everyone is drinking today. Beth, what do you have?
Well, today I actually did not make myself a cocktail, which is kind of unusual for me. I know. I went with this drink because one, it's like hot pink and yellow, the can is. But it's from 101 Cider House. It's a sour cider. It's Cactus Rosé. And it's cactus pear, basil, hibiscus, and lemon peel.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's really good. It's very tart, but it's delicious. And it's 6.9 alcohol by volume. So it's, it's a little bit fun, a little bit funky, but it's really
fancy
good.
For a can.
Yeah, it's really good.
Very nice. Matt, what are you drinking?
I am drinking this fantastic beverage. It comes from the Coca-Cola company. It's called Powerade Zero Sugar.
Ooh, nice. Wow. The color, I love it. Blue.
It's mixed berry.
Nice.
No, I already had a drink.
0%?
Yeah, I went to dinner. We went to Lazy Dog. So if you want to know what I had at Lazy Dog, I had the smoked maple bacon old fashioned.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Anything smoked is good.
And it comes with like a big old piece of like maple bacon candy on top of it.
That's right.
Oh, it's so good.
I think I've had that before.
It's so good. So I figured I came home and I was like, no more drinks. I'll just throw back a Powerade before bed.
That's fine.
I also had Starbucks.
Oh,
so you're drunk and wired.
Yeah. So get the electrolytes.
That's where you discovered how expensive their coffee machine is.
I did. Fun fact, everybody. If you wanted to ever know how much the Starbucks coffee makers cost.
I didn't.
It's
Matt was the only one who cared. But maybe our listeners care. You should tell them.
I care. I want to know.
$17,000.
I want to know less
right.
now.
That's the price of a Kia.
I know. I was going to say my first car definitely cost less than that.
A Kia made my coffee.
Did you actually ask somebody that at the store?
No, I was literally standing there and I could see like the name on the back of the espresso machine. I was like, I'm waiting for my drink. I want to know more about this machine. So I like Googled like Starbucks, like I think it's called the Mastrena 2. And I Googled it and it says, oh yeah, the Starbucks Mastrena 2, $17,000. I was like, what?
The more you know.
And they have 2 of them in there.
Wow. You got
2
fancy
Kias.
Starbucks. 2 Kias making your coffee.
They could have got like a Tacoma. Derek, what are you drinking?
Oh, I'm keeping it simple tonight too. I did not make a cocktail, and I bought this canned wine. It's called, and it has the most boring name. It's called the Original House Wine Sangria, but it's actually pretty good. I'm really enjoying it. It hits a spot, and it actually reminds me of my trips to Europe. You guys are gonna roll your eyes. I had to bring it up.
I got to hear it live.
going to Europe with the Christmas markets, like I love getting the glue wine. It's not a hot drink, but it tastes exactly like that. So
You're gonna go by
It's nice
yourself
memory.
next year.
what's that?
So you're going by yourself next year because now I don't want to go with you.
Oh, well, I'll believe it when I see it because I've been trying to get Matt to come to Europe too, but slowly making my way to convincing him.
Only took you 15 years to go to Disney World.
Exactly.
You've got some time, Matt. Drag your heels for a little longer.
For my 45th.
And Steven, what are you drinking?
I, as you know, since I have an Emmy, I have a at-home cocktail creator. It's my wife, and she made me from her box a Hiwassee River water. Did I say that right?
Hiawassee.
Hiwassee.
Hiawassee.
How many
A
times?
hillbilly river water is what I got. It's
Basically, yeah.
It's got whiskey, honeydew syrup, 4 dashes, not drops of lemongrass tincture, 3.5 ounces of tonic water, a full pound of duck feet, some pond essence,
Of what?
and it's shaken.
Not
Not
stirred.
stirred?
Not stirred. Thank you guys. Yeah, and that's what I'm having. And it is, she made this for me like the other night, and it's like, you guys know I don't really drink cocktails in general. Also, I don't drink anything that has like whiskey in it. This has whiskey in it. I'm very fond of it.
That's
Proud of
impressive
you.
for you.
The magic
pretty
of
good.
shaker and spoon, guys. Steven
Yeah.
found a whiskey drink that he likes. So
Sounds delicious.
Yeah,
it really was
tastes
a good
like-
drink, yeah.
It tastes like pure. I was gonna make a joke and say it tastes like a pond, but it doesn't actually taste like a pond. It tastes. It reminds me of like, what did I say? Like going to a bonfire somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've heard this. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
one of you said this last week.
No, it's a different drink.
But a
Apparently, something else reminds Steven of a bonfire.
bonfire down south.
There's something like at a beach, specifically like a beach bonfire. Like it's, I don't know how to
Like
describe it.
a California coast bonfire
Yeah,
or a
like a California
panhandle
coast.
Florida bonfire.
No, like a California coast bonfire.
The best kind.
That's the only kind of bonfire I've ever been to. So
What about you, Joel? What are you chugging over there?
Well, I did. So Vicky and I were able to go on a little date.
Romantic.
The mom
Oh.
is in town, and she was able to watch the boys for us. So we went down to Laguna. We went to Nick's at Laguna, which is a small little hole in the wall restaurant, but it's so good.
When you said that
That
earlier,
Nick.
I thought you went to Nick's. Hi, Nick, number one fan, Nick. I
He
thought you
doesn't
went
live in
to-
Laguna.
I didn't know where he
That's why I was so
So I was
confused.
like, oh, Nick's in Laguna.
I'm like, for a date?
No, no, no.
I was
I
like,
was like, okay, well, whatever.
No offense to Nick, but
No. We went to a restaurant called Nick's. There's also
Okay,
another
okay.
Mexican restaurant called South of Nick's, and it's
Is it south of Nick's?
south of Nick's, and it's
Oh,
a
okay, I hope
Mexican
so.
and
restaurant.
it's across the street from Stevie Nicks.
Well, this is on PCH, the Pacific Coast Highway, and we've been there once before, and it was just we had a really good time there. And so we figured, we'll go there kind of earlier today, before kind of the dinner rush. And it was kind of weird first time going in where you could enter without a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would be fine with wearing. I don't care either way, but like even the host was not wearing a mask, so I'm like, I guess I
You're
won't
like, whoa.
wear one. I don't know what to do anymore. So, anyways, it was great. Sat at the bar because we just like sitting at the bar at restaurants, and so I had 2 drinks there, and then I came home and I was buzzed, but a little tired. So I was like, what do I want to have? So I'm having a coffee drink, just with brandy
And a
Yeah,
vodka
I'm
drink.
And a lager drink.
Reminds me of the good times. But no, it's
reminds me of the better times.
versus the bad times.
Oh, Danny boy.
pissing the night away.
Listen the night away.
Oh my god, that song's been stuck in my head all day now.
Did you
Or
snort?
night.
But yeah, so it's just coffee
That's
and
the
brandy.
best.
I'm sure that's probably called something, but I don't know. It works. It's good. It's an
Doing
XO.
the trick.
It's doing the trick. But I just want to point out a jackalope over at and a Manhattan at Nick's. The jackalope is bourbon with Campari, grapefruit juice, sweet and sour, and mint leaves. And it was
Yum.
fantastic. And I always have Campari for some reason, and I don't ever know what to do with it. So
Now you
this would be a
do.
good drink.
It doesn't sound
to
too
have
complicated.
Campari. No.
So, yeah, nice.
So I will be trying that a little bit later, my own recipe, if you will. But with that, everybody, cheers.
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 Episode
Cheers.
25. We're a quarter away to 100, guys.
Almost there.
We'll get there in 8 years.
Yeah. Bi-monthly.
Electrolytes.
Twice a week.
It's what the plants crave.
So, Steven, hey, welcome again. I appreciate you coming on. And we've talked about you a lot on the podcast, and I think it's just good to preface this discussion about your Disneyland trip to understand what type of Disney fan you are. Because you love Disney, but not in the same way I would say we love Disney. No, but I mean, you truly enjoy Disney and going on to Disneyland with us, but kind of for different reasons, maybe. But yeah, I think you enjoy our times hanging out at Sonoma Terrace and Hearthstone Lounge and stuff, and just hanging out with friends and such, and maybe catching some Pokemon while you're there. But tell us, I mean, do I have that correct? Kind of
You basically covered it all.
Yeah.
I am now done. Pass.
Okay, thanks for coming. Yeah. That was
Bye.
good.
No, I'm like a semi-casual Disney fan. I was never really. I had like a Disney AP before I met Beth, but I didn't really start using it until I met you guys. So it's like I had it, but I was willing to pay for it, but wasn't really taking advantage of it until I started hanging out with you guys.
It was a little cheaper back then.
It was. It made more sense to buy an AP than it did to buy a pass, and technically it still does or did. RIP APs.
Rip.
But yeah, I'm the type of person that likes to go to the parks and just chill out and not go on rides. Sometimes eat, but mostly just sit, people watch, and hang out. Back when Beth and I first got together, I used to love to just go and draw and not really like do anything.
Yeah.
I'm real boring about the parks because I don't like to do anything. I just like to hang out. I like to be in the atmosphere of the parks. That's the best part. To the point where that's one of the things that I missed when we moved to Vancouver was just like that ambiance and that feeling of being in the parks. That's I don't know. It's really unique experience. But that's really for me. That's really the main thing for me.
I think the only thing that I have an issue with Steven.
Oh, it's gonna get spicy.
Here it comes.
He doesn't like fireworks, and it really bothers me.
I don't like fireworks or parades.
Parades I can understand. Fireworks, though,
I find so
Okay.
It's because you haven't seen Magic Happens.
That's true.
I don't like fireworks in general. I mean, I don't like them on 4th of July. I just find them noisy and obnoxious. I don't really like them at Disneyland. They're just noisy and
I'm
kind of
rethinking things over here, guys.
a hassle. I feel like
It's funny because I talked to your neighbors and that was the same way they described you.
Wait, noisy and a hassle?
Noisy and obnoxious.
Obnoxious.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? That tracks, though. That's pretty accurate. I also don't like the way like traffic congestion is created around fireworks time.
I
at the
can
parks.
understand that. Yeah.
The crowd aspect.
I can print up the divorce papers for you, Beth.
But you know what? Steven does watch fireworks for me and for Logan.
Yes,
So
it's not
he
like he's
will-
going to refuse to watch.
No,
Yeah.
and I have seen his face when Logan's little face is looking up at the fireworks and like it lights up her face and then her eyes light up. I've seen him cry multiple
I
times
remember-
at fireworks.
It's
so
because the light gets in my eye.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
like reflecting.
I remember when we saw Paint the Night. It was over at DC at the time, and you fell in love with that because you knew how much it meant to
Yeah.
Logan, and you loved that.
Yep, it's true.
Which one does Paint the Night?
The
The one with the lights.
the one with all the lights. That's not
That
Main Street
doesn't
Electrical
suck.
Parade.
The one that's not Main Street Electrical.
Say
That
the
was
one.
barely a fireworks show. That was
No,
mostly
no,
like a
parade.
Main
The
Street
parade.
show.
This is a parade.
Oh
my God,
man,
Steven.
I'm so confused.
This is great. No, this is the one with like the weird trolling thing at the end with Mickey Mouse.
Oh,
The
yeah,
one with
that's pretty
the
cool. That's
with
because
Owl City song.
Yeah, when
can we do
I
this
see
again?
you?
yeah, that's the one with with Ralph and stuff in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like that.
Yeah,
one.
he's in it.
Yeah,
Is he? in
yeah,
it?
and it's got the big
And the cars.
the big truck
Yes.
too.
Yes.
That like
Mhm.
just completely blinds everyone who's next to it.
So good.
Yeah, it's great. It's a perfect experience. I will say though, and I know that you guys were all there when World of Color opened up. That was at the time like my favorite like show, like experience. That was super emotional for me. We did it a lot of times during that time. That's the closest thing to a firework that I
Are
think.
you crying right now?
Yeah, a little bit.
Checking out.
Just thinking about it. I really loved that show, and it may be because we were all there together, and it was
Exactly.
a long day.
for like 20 hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
with our 2 boxes
We-
of
yeah, so-
donuts and
we loved World
Oh,
of
yeah.
Color, and then once 9:30 rolled around and the show was over, we wanted to murder each other. But that's fine.
no, we all walked out singing "Wonderful World of Butter."
World of Butter.
Oh yes.
So
Derek has done a
tunable.
great version of that on
He
the
does,
podcast.
so good.
I'm gonna find that.
It's archived
Well-
somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
gosh.
go find it. Maybe I'll try to throw
Hey,
it
you
in.
guys-
Let's put it on Spotify.
You know that, like, that was what 11 years ago now.
Oh my god, it was such a decade ago.
Like,
It was so
almost
long
like-
ago.
It was like 11 years ago, like this last week.
Yeah.
Well, which means we got to plan it as a date when we're all back there again,
When will that be?
if ever.
Well,
When can we do that
World is
again?
or World of Color is even playing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, right?
This just leads into so Steven and Beth went to Disneyland Resort first, and it was pre June 15th. June
Yes, it-
15th is like the big day of when everything kind of truly reopened and masks aren't really required unless a business requires it, yada yada. But they went before then. A few different restrictions were required then than when Derek went on June 15th.
Yeah.
But
I went on the 7th. Derek went on the 15th. So just a little over a week, right? 2
Just Beth.
completely different
experiences.
experiences. Yeah,
Yeah.
just me. Steven stayed home.
Yeah, Just Beth went on the 7th.
We went on the 7th.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think we can kind of blend kind of your. I mean, even though it's different experiences, it's not like we're going to say, "Oh, this is just let's hear what Beth and Steven had to do," and then
Yeah.
yeah. But let's. I mean, we can blend this in. But when you arrived, I have already asked this to you. I think on Twitter. What was the first thing that you felt like you needed to do, whether it was an attraction or not? What did you once you were in the park?
Oh, once we were in the park? You mean after the first hour of waiting in a line that no longer had any social distancing?
Yes, even though it was
Okay.
supposed to be.
Even though it was supposed to have, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we really had to do whatever Logan wanted.
Well, that's fine. What did Logan want to do?
We went to, because she had just, over this past year, she has hit 40 and beyond. She's at 43 inches. So we're like right before the pandemic, in 2020 beginning, she just barely hit 40. Like there were some times when she'd go to attraction, they would say she's too short. Other times she'd make it on. So it's like she was just right at that like height level. So this time she was well okay to go on anything that was 40 inches. So we kind of wanted to go over to Paradise Pier to kind of hit like jumping jellyfish. She was telling up for that and kind of try to do those things over there. But the first thing that we came to was Ariel, Voyage of the Little Mermaid, or it's not the Voyage of the Little Mermaid, is it?
Ariel's Undersea Adventure.
Ariel's Undersea Adventure. Yes, other attraction. So that's the first thing we went. The app said it was 5 minutes. By the time we got there, it was 35 minutes. So it was a little bit, yeah, it was a little bit different. But that was the first thing that we went on. And I mean, she's an excellent line waiter. So she honestly did not care. She did not complain the whole time. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we're waiting 35 minutes for Ariel.
Ariel. Yeah.
But I mean, she was perfectly fine and she loved it. And she was so excited to be back on it. It was one of her favorites. So
To be honest, I probably have been on Little Mermaid or Ariel more than any attraction in DCA because it's kind of like it's my new superstar limo. It's not like it's bad as superstar limo, but
I'd rather have Superstar Limo.
it always has a short line.
it's
Yeah,
typically a
line's
shorter
really short.
line.
Yeah.
And it can go, what do you want to do right now? Well, let's go over to Ariel and go
It's
on
here.
that.
Yeah.
Nice escape.
It's
AC.
near to a beer cart. So
Yeah, it's
nearish.
So I can understand that, and I appreciate that. What about you, Derek, when you guys arrived?
I was pretty excited to just get up and go to the park. I didn't have such a bad experience getting in. Like, we waited pretty much about, I'd say, 30 minutes once we got like to the Esplanade to get in line and get in, although it was super hot. So I think one of the things that was really a downside was that we picked the hottest day of the year to
Literally,
go.
yeah.
But luckily we brought umbrellas with us, so it wasn't too bad waiting in the shade. So once we got into the parks, just to be able to be in the park was overwhelming in and of itself. It had been, at that point, I'd say a year and a half almost since I've been to Disneyland Resort. And so that was just pretty awesome, seeing the train station, walking through the tunnels, walking down Main Street, seeing the castle. So the first thing we did is actually take a photo in front of the castle. Disneyland was our first park. But as far as ride goes, we headed straight to Space Mountain, and that was pretty awesome. There wasn't really too bad of a line. Like I felt like the times on the app were a bit overstated, and the lines were moving rather quickly, so it felt pretty short. Just in terms of like wait times, like it wasn't more than, I'd say, 40 minutes for us to get from the start to.
That's still a decent wait.
It's a decent wait,
especially
but,
with quote unquote limited capacity and stuff. But
yeah. But
were they still loading? Like, how were they loading? Were they loading the full?
It was full
full
trains. Yeah, there was no distancing, so everyone was just kind of in it for themselves, basically. But it was actually pretty nice because everyone seemed pretty responsible and respectful. And I didn't feel like anyone was really up in my business. In a lot of the queues that we were in that were indoors, because they were able to bring them all indoors now, we had our masks, so we still put them on just to feel a little bit more comfortable. And the lines were moving really smoothly and quickly. So I think that's kind of helped to make it feel not as long, even though 40 minutes is relatively long. So it was good. Full trains. Yeah.
Did you guys get there at opening? Like, what time did you guys get there?
We arrived at about 9.
Okay, so about opening then.
Yeah. So
you arrived at 9, but I think, did you get in? Like, what time did you get in the park? 9:30 or?
It was actually closer to 10. Yeah. So, to clarify, Beth, we arrived like at the resort at 9.
Okay.
So with parking and everything,
there
was a bit of a line.
Tram route.
Yeah. So we parked in Structure, which is, of course, the best place to park.
Hashtag never Toy Story.
Hashtag never Toy Story.
Come on, guys.
But yeah, security was actually really good there too. Like I saw on Twitter the nightmare that was on the other end. On the east side, right?
Yeah.
Getting into security and people lined up for blocks. Like, that seemed pretty annoying. Like, I would have not enjoyed going through that at all. But security through the Structure was really short and smooth and fast. And we did have to walk, a ways down the tram route, which I don't know why they don't bring trams back at this point. There's no social
cheap,
distancing.
but let's be 100% honest. If it was like a normal, like we were all going to Disneyland, you'd be walking anyways.
Yeah, we wouldn't use the tram.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing here is everyone is showing up at the same time now. Whereas before it was trickled throughout the day. No one's showing up to Disneyland at 4 p.m. like they used to. So, because everyone's paying full price right now for a whole day. So everyone's getting there at the same time. I don't know if the trams really can handle
could you imagine those lines
at the same time?
up the escalators?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was nice. One thing I did notice was that they were piping out music along the tram route, which is, new, I guess. Newish.
What music were they playing?
It was just a whole bunch of different stuff. Disney music. There was a bunch of like different downtown Disney type music playing too. And so it was cool. It was energetic. It felt right. Like how they have music in the between the parking structures now too.
Right. Well, how was the exterior lines for you, Beth and Steven?
So
that seems like it'd be.
We stayed directly across the street from Disneyland on the harbor side because we have a 5-year-old and we decided that we did not want to deal with a stroller. So we were like, we wanted to be close.
We also were trying to get web slingers passes too. I think that was a part of why we ended up staying at that hotel. No? Listen, I'm wrong.
No, I mean, in a way, well, yes, because if we got them, if I was up at 7 a.m. and we were here and we got them and we had to rush out the door because we're in Riverside County, so the 91 is terrible on a Monday. Yeah, exactly. We don't want that extra pressure. So it was a couple of factors. So we ended up staying on that side. As I said before, there was a line that went down harbor, but we crossed the street right at Captain Kidd's. And there was a gap, and it wasn't just us. It was everyone we did not. It was everyone just like walked in, and then there's like people. They're like, "Oh, the line starts back there," and I was just like, "I didn't hear anything." I'm just gonna meld into this line because I don't know how far back there it goes, and I paid to park. I paid to like stay right across, but there was nobody directing traffic into the line. There was no markers for the line out there, so there was like no way to know honestly because there had been a big gap. Or like people were just like walked in. So, but even not going
line didn't start until we got into the bus.
The official line never really stopped.
Yeah.
There was no cast members until we got in through the gates. Mm-hmm. So that's where
a merge point.
Draw the distinction.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Free for all.
Yeah, so
free for all before that.
It really was. And then even inside, like, I mean, they did have some markings, but basically you went around all 3 of the tram loops. You went backstage, back past harbor, and then back up into the security check and everything. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it probably took us at least an hour 15 minutes to get through the line, and we got there at 9.
Security.
So we didn't get there early. Like we weren't like, oh, we're gonna be there at 8. I was like, okay, they're opening the parks early. They've been letting people in early, so maybe it won't be so bad. We got there like at 9, and it was still an hour 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And see, this is it. This is my whole thing on Never Toy Story, and we had a little discussion on Twitter about it. And there's a lot of Mickey or Toy Story fans, but if you're parked at Toy Story and you went over, I mean, it's not open. Well, by the time this comes out, it is open. But you go over to that side, I feel like it has more of a chance of having that long line to get through security over there, where there's a few other options. If you're coming in from Mickey and Friends, especially once it returns to normal and you can walk across.
The cool thing was, even though like waiting that, I know Steven and I were both feeling like kind of annoyed and irritated because we're like,
it's because there was no social distancing. Like it was pointless.
Yeah, there was very little at that point.
People like everyone was so crowded together. There was a joke. I mean, everyone was wearing their masks for the most part. Outside of that, like everyone was packed together, and there wasn't anyone there to like spread people apart. I don't know. Yeah. I was annoyed.
Yeah, but the cool thing was even though we were starting to feel annoyed, Logan, when she saw like the green tents that she knows means security. Yeah. Mom, I can feel the magic. Can you feel the magic? That means we're almost back at Disneyland. And I was like, my heart melted. I was like, oh my God. Okay, well, I don't care what happens today. It's fine.
Yeah, that was a mood melter, or in a positive way.
I was like,
well, I mean, I guess we could talk about food real quick too. And I think we expressed this a lot on the last episode on how we feel about the current mobile ordering status. And it seems like it's getting a little bit better because they're starting to allow for people to wait in some lines. And I've seen people online say it wasn't as bad recently when they did some mobile ordering. But you did some while you were there, right, Beth and Steven?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We did. Because I kind of knew how it was while we were waiting in our hour and 15-minute long line to get in. I ordered our lunch. To make sure that we would have
so sad. It should not be this way. Yeah.
Yep.
So I ordered that ahead of time.
Let's think about time for a second. That's 9 a.m. and we didn't do lunch until 11:50, maybe noon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just to make sure we could have it on time. And of course, we ordered from 2 different places because my kid wanted something different than I wanted something different. So we ended up ordering from 2 different places. Luckily, we could like get them at the same time. So it was just it was kind of a hassle because we had to find a seat, say that we're here. Someone had to stay with the kid, And I went to go get the food from one location, and then I went to get the food from the other location. And then depending on which place you were getting food at, when you said I'm here, it might take 5 minutes or it might take 30 minutes. Yeah. We ended up getting food at the end of the day as well. And it was like we had a pickup time of 8:30, I think, Steven?
Yeah.
So it was like it was at the end of the day. We were trying to get something before we left, so we weren't like starving. And so Steven went to go grab it, but he was gone for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, I was like, where is he?
They told us it was ready. They told us it was ready. And then when I got there, there was a line of people who also got the notifications that it was ready. But they were just now making the food.
Like not even putting it on the plates, but they were making it.
They were still making it. They were like, they either just started making it, or like the person at the front of the line was like, I don't know what's happening. Looking back at the rest of us, and I'm like, I don't know either. Maybe you should hurry up.
I can't wait to spend $209 to pre-order my lunch 3 hours early.
Here's the thing that really bothered me. I don't know if you noticed this, Beth, but there was a lot less carts. So like getting a bottle of water. Was, you had to, I had to mobile order my water, and that first water that I got was excruciating because I was overwhelmingly thirsty, and it took 30 minutes for me to get my bottled water. Just the bottled water.
We just started stocking it after that. If we ordered food, we got 3 bottles of water to make sure that we had some available if we got thirsty. We just started.
I remember when I ordered my coffee while we were sitting there having our lunch. I ordered my coffee and at the beginning of our lunch, and then finally it was ready after we were.
So it's the Disney equivalent of hoarding the toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
like,
basically.
Get that water. Get that water.
So luckily it seems like it's going in the right direction. There's still some issues, and Derick, I would be interested to hear kind of how it was for you and whatever mobile ordering you did. But it does seem like it's getting a little bit better where some people aren't needing to do it as much. There's more ODV outdoor vending out there.
There's more places opening now.
Yeah, how I can't believe that you went and Red Rocket's Pizza Planet wasn't open.
Yeah,
Rancho del Zocalo was not open.
All these places have huge outdoor dining areas too. Like, why not utilize
Hungry Bear wasn't
that,
open, but you could sit there, right?
You could sit on the bottom floor. I don't know if you could sit on the top or not. We didn't check, but
I think it's just because of the bathroom too.
Yeah,
I'm dumbfounded by it.
I'm sure they just did not have enough. Exactly, staffing reasons. But I mean, it was a little brutal, and then it was kind of it's hard to find places to sit, and because you have to sit when you're eating at that point, so you can't just be like, oh well, I'll just grab some popcorn and. I would never grab popcorn myself, but like you can't just like grab a snack and go. You have to grab a snack and sit and find a place to sit. So that was a little bit challenging.
Now, was it like that for you, Derick? When you went, did they still have designated seating or eating areas, or was that gone at that point?
No, it was gone, and so I was really quite surprised. I had such an alternate experience, and I was kind of banking on it, hoping that this would be the case because of everything opening up. So. It was actually really quite pleasant. I actually made a reservation early on at Blue Bayou just because of the fact that I thought
Bayou.
I thought it was going
to be.
I thought it was going to be bad, but so that part of it too was actually really nice, not having to worry about any sort of mobile order or. Getting stuck in lines or whatever the case is. We had a reservation and that was cool. And the Blue Bayou was actually pretty fun of an experience just to talk about that for a little bit because
did you get a drink?
Everyone knows.
Yeah.
They serve alcohol now.
Ooh, so, exciting. What did you get?
I got a Hurricane.
Was it are they pre-made? I'm assuming they must be pre-made, right?
Yeah. It
Isn't
didn't
that
taste
kind of in bad taste?
To get a Hurricane?
Well,
wow. In the Blue Bayou?
In the Blue Bayou.
I didn't care.
Just
that was
saying.
the only thing that they had.
I mean, isn't that like a New Orleans drink?
That's where it came from.
That's why they're selling it.
That's why it's there. But it's just that
the only other...
I don't know. Okay.
Because it'll knock you on your ass.
The only other options were wine and beer. So,
Wine and beer.
Hurricane. I mean, and it was a nice experience. It was interesting, though, because they were only seating half of the whole dining area.
So they weren't.
Only half the bayou.
I feel like it's not that way anymore. But
was it half altogether? Like, was it split in the middle, or were they just like?
They weren't seating anyone like in the front part of the dining area.
Front by the water or front by the doors?
Front by the doors.
Okay.
And so everyone was towards the water, but it was only half the tables. And so it kind of felt weird in a sense too, because it was really quiet and there wasn't a lot of activity happening, but it was nice. The meals were good.
What'd you eat?
I had the cauliflower steak, which is a vegetarian option. Actually was pretty interesting. I was going to go for the...
Matt
it was really good.
It was interesting.
I was like, there's only one correct answer, and you failed.
But you can get that anywhere.
Different.
I mean, not anywhere, but you can get it elsewhere. That's what I should say. Not.
I mean, you
anywhere.
can get like, the steak or the salmon or whatever the case is. So I wanted to try something different. I was going to go for the...
But you went with cauliflower?
Cauliflower, he said.
Cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
Speaking of food, one thing I thought was interesting is that a lot of the restaurants in California Adventure still had the same items that they had for Touch of Disney. So we could get the Jolly Holiday tomato soup and grilled cheese at Sonoma Terrace.
Oh, wow.
They were still selling the miniature size of the...
are you talking about the tacos?
Monte Cristo. No, the Monte Cristo. You could still get the miniature size of the Monte Cristo at Smoke Jumper. So they were still selling all of those Disneyland items over in California Adventure at that
I could have
point.
got a Monte Cristo.
You could have.
And you forced me to get those delicious tacos too.
Oh, those tacos were so good. Oh my gosh.
They look really good. I was hoping
so
to try
good.
those. But it's like I didn't have to really do much of the mobile ordering, but I was checking the waits and they were pretty reasonable. If you looked at the times, they were pretty much for like the actual restaurants, maybe about an hour out. So It was decent. Yeah, it wasn't.
I've
like
seen
it
that
was
pre-COVID, so that's
Yeah.
And then for some of the other snack service type places, you can order like a drink or a snack and have it ready in about 15 minutes. And there were people in lines too, so I think that really helped out the whole situation.
Yeah.
And I know that our experience sounds kind of negative when we're speaking about it. We did have some issues. And I know that like towards the beginning of the day, I was like, oh my God, this is like not even close to being worth it for what I spent on this park. And I would still say spending that much money is not worth it in general. Like I would not probably do it multiple times because it's just too expensive.
I have some issues with your trips too.
But after lunch, like after we had a chance to eat and just kind of like relax for a minute and I had a beer, the day felt better.
Mm-hmm.
And just honestly getting to see it through my kids' eyes who hadn't been there. I mean, same as all of us in a year and a half. But she didn't care. Like we did not get to go to Avengers Campus, which she really wanted to do. She really wanted to go on the Spider-Man ride. We tried at 7, couldn't get it. It was literally gone in a second. And then I completely forgot at noon because we were in the middle of eating. And I just, at that point, I didn't.
How did you forget?
At that point, I didn't care because
I get it. I know you got Logan.
Yeah. You get when you get there with your twins.
Like, listen, I wanted to go to Disneyland too because
Have
we
you
hadn't
met
been
Joel?
there. Joel don't care. Joel don't care.
Joel will be holding a screaming baby, and he will have his phone in the other hand.
We hadn't been to Disneyland yet because DCA was our first park, and I didn't want to have to feel like I had a rush out of Disneyland because I wanted to soak it up. So I wasn't really upset about that. But, she had wanted to do that, but she was totally fine. Like, she didn't care. She was like, that's fine, Mom. It's fine. We just went and, like, did our stuff. We went to Disneyland. The first thing she saw was the trolley, which she had never been on. And so she's like, Mom, can we ride the trolley? I'm like, hell yeah, we can ride the trolley. So we like just get on the trolley. All the characters are waving from the train station. She's like waving to them. She's so happy. We get on the trolley. I cried. I cried like going on the trolley up, hear the trolley bell. My kids just like waving to everyone. I'm like, okay.
I feel like our day
I still
changed
have the
as soon as we
Disney
got-
magic.
What's that, Steven?
Yeah. I feel like our day changed as soon as we got into Disneyland. I feel like the whole atmosphere was a little bit different. It was more.
It was more relaxed there.
As soon as we entered the park, it was very much more relaxed, especially Main Street. It was less crowded. And
Main Street was dead at that point. We got there like 1:30, maybe 2. We were there a little bit after the whole change went over when you could like change parks. So yeah, Main Street was like quiet.
And I think that helped like release our tension from the morning, and that made like going, and like we had already been tense because like Beth and I haven't really been out that much since COVID started. Like for a year and a half, we've just been in our apartment. We had like maybe one major outing, and that's it.
That's very fun with you guys.
Well, we two because we went to the
Airbnb and the touch of Disney.
Oh, so that's three major outings out of the course of an entire year.
They went to Disney World and
we did. We've been like world travelers.
No. We both work from home, so like going out is a little bit tense, and then like that for me that first hour really kind of like rocked like the whole day, and I was like really concerned that it was going to ruin it. And thankfully, when we got into Disneyland, like that whole atmosphere like just completely changed. I was so happy to be in there, and that park was really emotional. I love DCA, but Disneyland like really brings out like that
emotion. Yeah.
You got
it
the
brings out those
experience you were
feels.
looking for at that point. More of the experience.
Can I just ask all three of you one question though?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, you didn't do Spider-Man. That's fine. And probably you guys probably tried to do Rise of the Resistance. I know Derek got to do. That's fine. How did none of you ride Snow White?
By the time I got over there, it was like
That
a 45-minute wait.
Yeah, that line was terrible.
long.
That line was
Derek has less
really
of an
intense.
excuse because he was there earlier in the day, and I didn't get there till like 2. So Derek is like,
Wait,
they never
how
let
long?
up.
How long was the line?
for us, it was like a 45-minute wait.
It was longer.
Didn't you
than
wait
that.
Didn't you wait like 35 for Ariel?
Yeah, but I didn't know it was gonna be 35 when I got in there. The app had said 5 minutes when I got over there.
Hold up. The app said 45, which means from our experience that day, that line was like an hour.
I also waited for Frozen in China. So
Yeah,
I don't want to hear about wait times.
The line for Snow White was at the
Also
castle.
in China.
Yeah.
Shanghai.
Yeah, it was pretty rough, and it was outdoors. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not trying to force
For the heat,
myself
I
in.
can understand not waiting if it was truly 45 minutes outdoors. But it's just, I don't know. Maybe because I would have gone there like the first thing or second
But
thing.
I couldn't go there
Looks
first.
so good.
You know,
I wasn't in that park
No,
first. I couldn't do it.
Right.
But you know what I did do? You know what we did do? You know what Logan went on? She went on Splash Mountain for her first time.
Oh, that's awesome. I did not know that.
I didn't
He
know
she
cried.
will not do it again.
She cried.
Ah,
Poor kid. She
It's
did
intense.
so good.
Well, at least be rethemed by the time she
Yeah,
goes on.
by the next time she goes on, it will be rethemed. But she did really, really well until the last drop. And they were not seating like the last. I have not been on Splash in forever, like in a really long time.
Huh.
But they were not seating the back seat, so she couldn't sit next to me. So she was sitting in front of me. So I just like put my arms around her in the front. And she did so well the whole time that last drop. She was crying when we got off, and I felt so
She was
bad. but
bawling. Like it
It was.
was a lot
I
of
was
fear.
like, oh, but I mean, after that, she was fine. She was very proud that she did it, and she's
Good
like,
for her.
I liked the inside. I just didn't like the big drop. I'm like, well,
I could see how
fine.
that would be the scariest thing she's been on. Even though we went on Sidewinder.
You should have asked her, which one did you like better?
Sidewinder.
I should have. I'll have
Sierra
to ask
Sidewinder.
her which one she wants to go on first next.
good question.
Oh, I was gonna say, but then we were already back there, so we got to do Pooh, which she'd like wanting to do Pooh, and Haunted Mansion, which is her favorite. Like she loves Haunted Mansion, so we got to do
And Smuggler's
Mansion. Oh, and we did Smuggler's Run too. So
That's good.
those were the things that she wanted to do. She wanted to go on Pooh, Small World, Smuggler's Run, and
She's never even seen
Mansion.
Snow White. She wouldn't have cared.
She's
But
seen
it's
it, I
a
think.
beautiful. Never,
She'll
I'm
want to
not gonna
watch
get
it
into
after
I'm
that
over it.
ride.
You guys,
Derek, what are you talking about? You didn't go on it either. Your cats would want to see
Hey.
it.
Well, I was gonna say. So going back to Rise, though, I am really proud that I got a boarding group at 7 a.m. that morning. I was super nervous leading up to it because I heard all these horror stories of people not being able to get their boarding groups. So we got ours, but the one gripe I will say, which I didn't realize at the time, was that, our boarding group kind of delayed up until like past noon.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize that you can't be holding both a Rise boarding group and a Spidey boarding group, web slingers
which kinda
boarding group at the same
sucks.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have a choice. Like I actually went onto the app and poked around to see if I can get a boarding group for web slingers, and they would have allowed me to if I gave up my rise ones.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing that. But so that's my only thing. Like, you don't really have a choice at that point. You're kind of at the mercy.
Which is really dumb, because if you gave up your like are people able to really get new rise boarding groups if somebody gives up rise boarding groups?
Like how fast would it have to
so.
happen? Because you got you only have your 2 times you can
I've never
get
heard
it.
of anybody doing that though. Like actually scoring a rise pass like at 10 a.m. because someone
gave it up.
Yeah.
Well, I guess who's
Maybe
checking?
happens.
Maybe
Yeah.
who's checking at 10 to see if anyone pops up?
All I know is if I'm paying like what 200, it's like the premium is like what 209 for
Something
like
like
a
that.
top
Like
tier.
that.
Whatever.
I don't like to think about it
If I'm
anymore.
paying $209 for a 1-day park hopper, I should be allowed to get a boarding pass
You'd
for an
think,
attraction in both parks. I'm sorry,
especially now.
that's stupid.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I can understand some of the logic because I'm sure it's like, hey, if you have boarding group for Rise Resistance and then you get a boarding group for Spidey, and it comes like there could be an overlap and you can't get to both of them. That's the only thing I can understand where that's why they would want to restrict it. Otherwise, it's just like it's kind of jacked up.
Yeah.
To not allow for both. But hey, real quick before we move on, can we go back to? It's been a year and a half since I've been in Disneyland and talking about riding things in Disneyland. I just want to point out how talking about riding poo or going on poo or anything about poo cracks me up because it's been so long since I've talked about it. I'm like,
We just
it
hopped on
sounds
a
funny.
poo.
I feel like Beavis and Butthead right now.
But I mean, it was really, it was good. And I am glad that we went, and regardless of the annoyances that happened during the day, but I also can't see myself doing it again anytime soon.
Yeah.
But
I
now,
mean,
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I was so worried, and I think you might remember from our last podcast. Yeah, right. I was ranting about how there was so much anxiety having to plan for all this, and the irony of it all is that given the restrictions were lifted, actually did help to improve the overall experience for us, and it didn't feel like busy at all. Like everyone was moving through smoothly. The lines were okay. And especially then going over to DCA in the afternoon, although we didn't get to go on Web Slingers, there was no line to get into Avengers Campus itself. So that was actually really cool to just be able to walk around and see everything.
I can't believe we didn't get a drink there, though.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about Avengers Campus as a whole.
Yes.
Do share, yes, let's hear
Let's
them.
hear it. We're ready.
I mean, it's exciting. It's shiny and new. I felt like because of the fact I couldn't go on the ride, that there was a lot of just, I wouldn't say it's lipstick on a pig, so to speak. Like, I think that's a little bit harsh. But I think it relies heavily on the interaction of the characters. And if you don't get to really see them, like for instance, they cut off the Spider-Man show early in the afternoon. And so that was done. Ant-Man was out, Black Widow was out, but they were just, hanging out and saying hi to guests. We did get to spot, Doctor Strange in the show, but it was so sweltering hot that we didn't end up staying there because there's like no shade at all.
I've heard that area just in general is super hot.
It ended up becoming the worst part of the day. We never actually noticed it until we got to Avengers Campus and felt the sun reflecting off the asphalt. And so, it was super busy. It was super hot. It was great to see everything. But, generally speaking, the land is kind of small. I didn't get to experience any of the food or the alcohol because the lines were too long for that or the ride. And so we basically walked through rather quickly, which was unfortunate. And we did spend some time in the Web Slingers store. And, it was nice for the AC, but that's a little bit small too. And so, it just kind of felt a little bit underwhelming. So, I mean, I hate to say that because you
expected this, right? I mean, were you expecting something different when you were going in there, not going on Web Slingers?
I expected to feel a little bit more excitement just because of everybody's reactions to it, and I didn't feel like the connection to it as I thought I would have. Like, it's great. Like, they do have, music piped in the background. It feels very energetic. And I'm sure once things die down and maybe if it's cooler and I can actually grab a drink at the bar, that I'd feel differently and ride the ride. But
you can feel the potential, but it's not there yet for you.
Yeah, and it does feel like it needs the true e-ticket.
Does it need some annual pass holders to like hang out there?
So.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like if annual passes were still a thing, I feel like a lot of our opinions would probably be a lot different.
Yeah, because you expect
for sure.
I mean, I've known this entire time what the land is going to be. It's not like it was hidden. And I feel like in the time coming up to, before everything started last year, I feel like I was actually like genuinely kind of like excited for it. But I just feel like, the park was closed for so long and then they killed the annual pass program. It's just like any excitement I had towards that land just went away. Now it's open and I'm like, I'm not spending money to go see it, and I'll wait.
Yeah, it definitely, like, again, we didn't go see it because for us the standby line was 4 to 6 hours, so we did not wait to go see it. But as an outsider looking into it, it definitely looks like a land that was designed with having a local annual pass holder community to enjoy it.
Now, I think all of our issues are valid. However, I just want to point out they are. But if we went to Adventureland, right? Let's say Adventureland just opened, but the rides are not working or closed, or you can't get on them. It's what are you going to do? And that's where it comes down with any small land, or with Galaxy's Edge, even where it obviously Galaxy's Edge needs to have more interaction and droids out and yada yada. It needs music. Yes, it needs music. I'm passionate about that. I'm going to go on a tangent. Going in on the to get your lightsaber, and that's the only area where you can get true music from Star Wars. Like, I mean, yeah, there's some underscore music in
and a
Smuggler's
candid
Run.
Smile from Mike.
Yes, you got a great picture of Matt, a genuine
He was so
smile.
happy.
But it's the only area where you can really hear like the true score from Star Wars, and it really gets you the chills and hearing from Yoda and stuff in there. That's what's missing, I feel like, from that land. But
yeah,
that I digress. It's just I'm just trying to point out, hey, any land, if you don't have an attraction that you can go on, it's going to be pretty boring. It's going to be stores and some food options. And then
who does it
you
right?
can't get any food.
I feel like California Adventure, though, does lands without attractions great, because I could go sit at Sonoma Terrace for hours and be just fine because they've got the music. And
What
they've got
land
the
is Sonoma Terrace in?
I don't. Oh, it's in a district.
Golden
district?
State.
I don't know. It used to be Paradise Pier.
Golden
It's a Golden
State.
State.
Hello.
It's Golden State,
Golden
but
State.
like that's half the park.
Sonoma Terrace is part of the wharf, right? Like, it's in the wharf area. No,
I
it's
don't
not
consider it
Target.
Pacific
I think
Wharf.
it was the Golden Vine Winery.
But that's not the name of the.
I thought that was
It's
like one of
Golden
the
State.
areas.
Golden.
It was Golden State, and then Golden State was divided into like 5 different areas. I
Districts?
thought one of them was like the Golden Vine Winery.
Let me find my
Was that
stickers.
an actual district?
I feel like I have
Well-
a map. I have a map over here, and I just don't feel like digging it out. But I feel like that's what.
Yeah,
it
I
was.
don't really care that much.
There was that, or was it part of the Bountiful Valley Farm?
No, that
No.
No, 'cause
No,
that's
that was
across the
too far
street.
away.
Yeah.
There was Golden.
hold
But
up.
regardless, I mean, I used to spend like so long in California Adventure where there was hardly any rides and
Yeah.
just food and drink
True.
in stores. So
I was gonna say to like Steven's point about like the atmosphere of it all.
Bringing out the
His
lightsaber.
lightsaber.
Oh, there he goes.
Look at the
Look at him
smile.
smile. He's so happy.
Wow.
I'm still like, I know it's been like what, a year and a half. When did I do this? It was the birthday before it closed, right?
It wasn't that long after it opened. We'll
Oh,
move
his
it on.
face, his face is sad now.
To your point, Joel, like those lands that you called out, like the environment in and of itself is what draws you. Like, to,
Mhm.
Steven says, not going on rides, just hanging out and absorbing it all. Like, for whatever reason, I didn't feel that from Avengers Campus. It was weird. I think maybe partly too
Because it looks like
like
a warehouse.
Yeah, and there were so many different design elements all kind of combined, and I wasn't so much excited about Guardians because it's been there forever, but it's kind of weird because like Doctor Strange is kind of its own little thing, and why is it even really there, to be honest? And then you got Spider-Man, you got Pim Kitchen, and
Well, he's an Avenger.
yeah, but I mean, like, why does this area look?
Have
like
you
that?
watched the movies, Derek? Have you? No, seriously, that's exactly
That
like,
is a good
the
question.
reason why his area.
I know, but
looks
then
like
I'm just saying that like there's just a lot of different thematic elements all kind of.
And
Don't
then
they
plus,
actually-
That's kind of how Marvel is, though.
But I also feel
I
like
get it. I
isn't that on
understand
the
it. It just
isn't that
didn't
on the map
immerse
too?
me.
Like, doesn't
What?
it say like? I could have swore like I saw like the Avengers Campus map, and it shows like the Doctor Strange area. It's supposed to be like the old map, like when it was still like the Stark facility. And I want to say like the spot where it shows like Doctor Strange, it says something like section or something like top secret section, or it says something weird, something that would make sense for like why it's a Doctor Strange.
It's just
area.
that like everything has to have an explanation as to why it's there, and so for me to just be able to enjoy it, to like read the backstories behind why I'm seeing everything the way that it is, it's like for me that's just a lot of work, and
All
I
right,
get
let's
it.
talk
like,
about
I
Primeval
understand
World
it.
again.
Wait,
I was gonna say.
Didn't
Go
you
back
guys,
to that.
didn't you guys do a whole episode about C?
Yeah.
Okay, explaining backstories of like entire lands.
Well, Derek didn't say he liked C.
But you don't need C to enjoy it.
Yeah, what's good about C is that it's just an extra item that it's not necessary for you to enjoy an attraction or an area. It's just like an additional part of the backstory that brings
If
it
you
all together. If
wanna-
you wanted to explore further.
Yeah.
Hence, explore. I can't even think of the name of the damn.
What?
what's
You
the
can go to
thing called?
Avengers Campus, and then optionally you can read comic books.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think the thing it probably would be if you had the time and the ability to sit and enjoy a cocktail, or sit and just enjoy the area and find a place to like sit and kind of
Yes.
soak it in. You might feel differently about it if you could just kind of be there to experience it,
Yeah.
as opposed to having to stand, find a place,
Right.
or squatting, waiting for their times to get in, waiting for their food.
Yeah.
If you had that opportunity to just really sit and soak it in, you might have a different feeling
Yeah.
for the whole land. It's hard to say.
I feel that way about Galaxy's Edge.
Really?
I like sitting in Galaxy's Edge
Hmm.
and hanging
Got
out.
it, yeah.
I know that
I
Beth
agree.
doesn't.
The
But I do.
music at Dock Bay 7 on the patio.
There is a little bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great music right there. It's what?
I do
Matt?
like that. I do
Yeah.
like that music. Yeah.
Continue.
Well,
Sorry.
I was just gonna say too, like I don't want to come off like I'm like super negative. Like I want to give it another shot when things die down, and be able to really look around and enjoy it. But it's just the first time that I felt like I wasn't super bummed out that I missed out. Like
Mm-hmm.
and I've never felt that way about a new opening of an attraction at Disney before. Like I've just been so like anxious and anticipating and making sure that I can get in. And when I missed that boarding group for Spider-Man, I'm like, well, there's next time. And that was just kind of a weird reaction. So does that make sense?
I can relate
It
to
does.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I felt too.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, well,
It shouldn't be this way, but it will be great when it's a few months from now. And we're already starting to see it where, hey, the attraction wait times seem pretty darn good during the day right now. It seems like it's a little bit nicer to get food, meander around, and then I can see ourselves hanging out, getting a brew, like, what are we going to do? Well, let's go over to Pim's and get a pretzel or something.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
going to be, you're going to have the ability to kind of just do something on the fly without requiring a lot of effort beforehand. But until then, I think right now it's just not going to live up to anyone's
It
expectations.
just feels too stressful right now. Once it
Yeah.
calms down and we can actually enjoy it for what it is, I think it'll be a lot better. Yeah.
Sure. So with that all said, I want to know what was your favorite thing from your day that you didn't expect to be your favorite? Like, what's something that I didn't expect to be this emotional about, or something that, I forgot how special this item about being in a Disneyland park is, or Disney park is.
I'm going to say two brief things. One would be getting on the trolley. I have not been on the trolley in a really long time. Like, I mean, I don't often, I mean, I enjoy it being there and I appreciate it every time it goes by, but I don't often ride it.
Sure.
So riding that and just having Logan be so excited to be back in Disneyland Park was really touching for me, and I definitely teared up. And then secondly would be riding on It's a Small World, which was the first ride we ever took her on when she was 3 months old, and she has continued to like it ever since. So riding on that and just kind of getting to be there and hearing the music, which I know a lot of people find annoying, but I personally love it. So just getting to ride that, and like I just like closed my eyes for a minute and I was just like, I am in Disneyland right now. Like, I am just soaking it all in. I am in Disneyland. I am in the place that makes me happy, even though I was feeling stressed and anxious earlier today, or, you know, for the planning of it, or not quite understanding how things would work. At this moment, I am here with my husband and my kid and just soaking in the thing that we love to do. And it made the whole thing worth it, but not financially worth it. Worth it in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also, I don't think I've ever actually been on the trolley. So for me, I'm going to do two things, just like Beth. For me, the first one was the trolley, because I don't think I've ever been on it. And that was fun. And I for the same reason that Beth described, kind of like, you know, seeing it through Logan's eyes. And also just like getting in and feeling that, like, that nostalgia buildup. And getting the Main Street feels was kind of, you know, emotional for me. And then the second thing was getting a corn dog. And I know it sounds lame.
I knew that was going to be yours.
I know it sounds so lame.
Not at all.
Like not special, but like, so there was something about when we were sitting down at the tables, getting up and just going to get a corn dog and have it not be mobile order.
Brother
felt like a glimpse of normalcy, and that was extremely emotional for me.
That's great.
No, that I get it. That's a good one.
Also, corn dogs are delicious. Shut up, Beth.
They are delicious. I'm not gonna say anything about them.
Did you have something, Derek?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, mine are mainly food related too. Like I actually was so happy to order a churro in Disneyland.
We didn't have a churro. I just realized that.
No, we did not.
Yeah, so you know, I had one of those, which I probably shouldn't have had, being my diabetic self. But you know, you only live once. YOLO, churro in Disneyland. And then a beer at the Sonoma Terrace. Like, that was just perfection. Like, it was starting to get cooler in the afternoon, and the light was hitting the trees just right. And you know, I got Thelonious. I forget. Brother Thelonious.
Yeah.
High alcohol content. So I was happy. But you know, I think, again, at the end of the day, too, just seeing Disneyland through the eyes of someone who's not a fanatic like me, coming to the parking structure and being overwhelmed by seeing Pixar Pal's parking structure was built. It was like, whoa, you haven't been here since, you know, I went with someone who hasn't been in a long time. And then also then being able to go on Rise of the Resistance and seeing it.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And getting that sort of reaction and like knowing like, okay, I there's a redemption feeling, so in a sort of seeing someone who's not a true Disney fanatic really appreciate what it is that we all appreciate about Disney.
Right.
You know, that. So that for me was like the icing on the cake. And it would have been so devastating to hear like, oh man, like it was okay, you know.
Yeah, if you came off and just,
yeah,
whatever,
but,
it was okay.
Yeah, and so all of the ride elements were working. You know, we got on, no problem. It was perfect. So yeah, that was a good.
And see, so my wife still hasn't been on Rise of the Resistance, and she
believe
hasn't
Can't
watched a
believe
point
that.
of view, or she hasn't watched a video. I'm sure. I mean, she's seen clips and stuff. She has a general idea of what it is, and I think she understands what that ride is. But she hasn't been on it, and it's one of those things where, and she's going to hear this, but it's like one of those things where you get off of the transport and you go in the hangar bay, and that moment of that void when you go in that room and the sight, the quietness that you have, but it's like a void of like massiveness. It's like this: you go in this huge room, but it's quiet. You have like some type of spaceship, you know, go across the. You can hear it from a distance, but it's so quiet in there, and it feels like this massive space, but it feels like, okay, I walked in. A lot of the people don't expect to go in there, and then you're like, I am transported. I am transported me, but I am somewhere. Yeah, I am immersed in this environment now, and I'm excited for her to experience that. And it's really exciting to hear that who you went with, Derek, really experienced that too, because it is one of those attractions that is the quintessential Disney experience. Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about your Disneyland trip?
One thing I did notice, and I mentioned this to you guys already, but it did feel different not being there with you all. Like, I do look forward to the day that we can all plan a trip again when things are not so crazy and expensive. So that was odd, not being able to just plan like an off the cuff type of experience. But someday.
Those days are coming, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get here. Hell, I don't even want to tell people on the podcast this, but the fact that we could, if we really wanted to, let's say if it was 4 hours ago, we could have just gone down to Grand Californian and we could have gone to Hearthstone Lounge. We could have done it.
We should have recorded from there.
Hey.
That was an option?
I tried to get Matt to come pick me up so we could, and he said no.
Yeah.
Come pick me up.
15
miles out of the way, and then drive back the same direction I just came from.
Yeah.
But those little things like that really are. That's
Traffic?
what I'm looking forward to. No, being able to go to Hearthstone Lounge without needing a reservation or something, just being able to walk in there, and
it's an idea.
Yeah, I hope no one else listening does that because I want to be able to do that without a wait.
Don't tell
Not like
them.
we have a ton of listeners, but
Listen, our 5 listeners.
Yeah. No, all meet us there. Okay.
Yeah. Our first live show.
Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you coming on, Steven, and hopefully you come on more because you're a good addition.
You're a delight.
Yeah.
I mean, I love him, but
you don't need to leave. I know you said you were only going to be here for the Disneyland portion, but feel free to.
What are you guys talking about after this?
Blue Ribbon Bakery. And some.
I have nothing to add because I don't remember it at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't remember it at all. So, and I
Say
have
goodbye.
not done any research. So I'm peacing out.
Bye.
Love you,
bye.
Steven.
Thanks for
having me, guys. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that was really awesome for Steven to come on. I thank him for coming. And, we wanted to kind of pivot and talk about...
Pivot.
It was coming. But talk about some things that we kind of miss, but kind of odd things to miss, at least for myself. Like, I really miss Blue Ribbon Bakery. And, this was something that was on Main Street U.S.A. at Disneyland. And we'll get into, the location and everything about that. But there's also there's all these small things that don't really matter that much, I would say. So some of the other things I miss on Main Street, like the Market House, which has turned now into Starbucks.
It was called the Market House. Is it called Starbucks now, or is it?
I
know it is
Market
Starbucks.
Market House.
Is it? Okay.
And they have completely changed the interior of that building, and they took over Disneyana. And that's another thing that I really miss is the original Disneyana location, just because it was small and quaint and not a lot of people went in there. And I guess the cast members in there really cared, and not like they don't now in Disneyana. It just felt old school in there, if you will. I don't know how to put it more perfectly, and then just kind of charming and simple.
Really, for the Disneyana store, you really actually were handpicked to work in the Disneyana store because it was just such a unique kind of location.
That's why Beth worked in the Emporium.
Before I quit, actually, they were talking to me and they asked if I was interested because I was always interested in Disney history, but I couldn't keep working there with working another full-time job, so I didn't. But it was cool because they sleeping in a bunk bed in my car, wherever I could catch 5 minutes of sleep because I was getting 2 hours of sleep a night. It was really cool because they were all handpicked cast members who were really passionate about what they were talking about in there and what was there. So it was really cool.
Was there, if I'm not mistaken, you could go from the market house into the little rotunda thing where the artwork was displayed in Disneyana, correct? I think you could go through that section.
I think so.
And I think that was possibly walled off when they started working on Starbucks, and then eventually Disneyana closed and then engulfed the whole area. But that's just something that, hey, I loved walking through there. The smell of the cheaper coffee that they had at the time there, and usually easier to get the line. There was never a line in the market house, and you could get coffee over there. So I think a cappuccino and those type of drinks, and they still have the phones in there where you can hear recordings, which is a nice little touch. Those little details, of course. And of course, Starbucks, what they did there is, it's so ornate, it's beautiful. They did a fantastic job with Starbucks, but it's just some of those smaller things where I felt like there was a lot of history in the market house, and probably not too much has changed inside there, even though maybe the content or the items that were being sold in the market house has changed. Just the general flow and look and kind of setup seemed to be pretty unchanged, if that makes sense, over the years. And so those little things that kind of I reminisce about and I really enjoyed. That also, like the Disneyland Forever CD kiosk.
Oh yeah.
Where they actually sold music, in the music store. Was that?
Oh, that's
I don't remember that.
They would have like CDs
Now I remember
and
that.
Yeah, I'm upset that I did not take advantage of it. Not like I don't. I mean, I have my fair share of music these days, but at that time it would have been. I felt like I should have taken advantage, got some CDs, and picked what I wanted to have on there. But it was just cool because it was a true music store. It had music in there, and they had books and DVDs or VHS available.
And now it's pins.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as unique anymore. So, and there was another small, tiny store, kind of connected to the Magic store. And even like the Bank of Main Street, which kind of boring because it was just a bank that then turned into an AP processing center. But when it was kind of a bank still, I just felt like that brought some more realism to Main Street. Like,
you could do your stuff.
Yeah.
You can mail your bills at the mailbox and
yeah, I think it
get
was
your
a Bank
checks.
of America.
I think so, yeah.
But that bank goes back to the beginning, I believe. I think it was always a bank from when it opened, and then eventually phased out. It obviously did not make sense to have a bank there anymore. But could you imagine, I'm going to turn in my check. I think people used to go there that were employees, cast members, and they would cash their checks at the Bank of Main Street. But those type of things, little items. So really, what we're here, and I know we're already running long, and this is something where we could have just done a whole nother episode, and we could talk about Disneyland for 2 hours as well. But I'm going to go and keep going with it. Hey, people are commuting again because everyone's going back to work. So
stuff's open. Traffic's back, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're listening to us. I'm sorry. Yeah.
One thing I do miss about Main Street is being able to actually mail stuff, like put stuff in the mailbox to mail out.
And that just ended.
What?
And that just ended, didn't it?
I think, yeah. And so, fun fact, I did actually bring a bill there one time and mailed it. I put it in the mailbox just to actually utilize the mailbox that they had on Main Street. So I thought that was pretty cool.
And it didn't get there, and that's why you got a credit hit.
Somebody from the cable company was like, "Ooh, look at this awesome stamp I got from Disneyland." They
Keep
kept your
this.
envelope.
It was really cool. So yeah, just happen to remember that.
So we're going to talk about Blue Ribbon Bakery a little bit, which this is really, to me, I feel like kind of a story of Carnation Cafe more than Blue Ribbon Bakery, because it's kind of it goes full circle, and you'll see why. So what was Blue Ribbon Bakery? It was a bakery that was on the west side, aka the left side of Main Street, and it was just past West Center Street, which it served coffee drinks, pastries, desserts, even had like the Matterhorn macaroon, which is now at Jolly Holiday.
I did not realize that had been around for this long. I don't know how I missed it, because macaroons are like my favorite. Like, I love the coconut macaroon. I don't know how I missed it this whole time.
You know what? Honestly, I didn't remember it being there either. And I was like, oh wait,
Really?
they had the Matterhorn macaroon? I remember at Jolly Holiday, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I left the Jolly Holiday with it and like took a picture in front of the Matterhorn.
I thought
in
it
the
like
distance.
started there. I don't know how I missed it.
I first had it at the Blue Ribbon
Oh, funny.
Oh, well, wow.
Yeah, so what
Finger
up?
paint emoji.
So it also had some pre-made sandwiches there, salads and soups, and kind of like if you look at what Jolly Holiday is now, I think they have a little less selection of what Blue Ribbon Bakery had, but there was a lot of stuff there that I probably should have had lunch there more often because it had some great options.
My favorite thing at the Blue Ribbon Bakery was, I think, for like non-seasonal items, was their sticky bun. It was like a big,
The best.
like sticky bun. Oh, so good. You definitely had to share it. Like it was, and the cinnamon rolls too were like huge. They were like giant, but they were so good.
That was the best. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is, while I mostly remember Blue Ribbon Bakery in that location, it actually wasn't there long. And in fact, it opened in that location just 25 years ago, just about 25 years ago in 1997, which is crazy. Because I really started going often after 97. And so I didn't even realize, I just felt like it was always there. And it was, in fact, kind of a newer spot. But it had kind of a rich detail and look to it that made it feel old in a good way. That, I mean, kudos to those that were designing the interiors, because they did a good job on that place. But the Blue Ribbon Bakery actually initially opened and took over the Sun-Kissed Citrus House on April 6, 1990. This was a location just north or up the street on the left, if you will, if you're looking at Blue Ribbon Bakery where it was, to the right, which is now the Gibson Girl Ice Cream Parlor, and it's still there today. Blue Ribbon Bakery later took over the Carnation Ice Cream Parlor, which was an opening day spot, and even expanded into West Center Street in 1977 for outdoor seating. Beth and I were talking about this a little bit earlier because it took over the Flower Street. And the Flower Street had to go over to the east side. And funny enough, I always thought they were selling real flowers, at least for a time being, but it looks like they were just actually selling fake flowers.
Selling plastic flowers. Yeah, that's what my research showed. I mean, who knows? I wasn't there. I couldn't say for sure, but yeah, my research said they were selling plastic flowers. And then when they moved it over to the east side, then they no longer sold flowers, but then they were real flowers. So, yeah. So they switched
just
it when they
had
went
some
over.
flowers available to
Just
look
have them
at,
out
but
there for
makes sense because I can't imagine a lot of people were buying even
just
fake
carrying
flowers.
a huge bouquet of your flowers wilting throughout the day on all your attractions. Yeah. But I was trying to figure out if anyone knows, the flower carts look very similar from both, like from when it was on the west side to when it moved over to the east side, but I couldn't tell for sure if they were the same or if they were just kind of replicated to look similar. So I'm interested to know if they were, that flower cart that's over there now, was it used on the west side?
Be very interesting, but I would imagine it couldn't have fared well over all these years, and that would be a lot of work just for that little cart. But it's still very possible.
But what if?
Yeah.
What if?
So, and that street, though, on the west side, was where the iconic Carnation Company, like the antique delivery truck, was. I'm sure you've seen some pictures if you've looked at some old Disneyland photos of this, as that Carnation Company was a very famous ice cream and dairy company in the 20th century. And in January 1997, that's when the Carnation Ice Cream Parlor finally closed. The outdoor area survived as the Carnation Cafe after some remodeling in March of 1997. Guests could order now from the traditional breakfast menu or new lunch and dinner menus, kind of like what's there today. Nestle actually had acquired the Carnation Company in 1985, and they were phasing out the Carnation ice cream brand for their other brands, like Eddie's, Dreyer's, and Nestle. Funny enough, Eddie's is prominently displayed on Main Street at Disney World.
So is it actually? So it is Eddie's.
Is it?
Because I've always seen. Okay, so not to go on a tangent, but I've always seen that, and I never knew if it was pronounced Eddie's or
Edie's.
Oh, maybe it's Edie's. Is it an East Coast thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
So
over
it's like
here,
the Dryers.
over here it's Dryers.
Yeah.
But I've always wondered that, so now I feel like I need to probably Google that and put that to rest because I really need to know.
Huh. I never thought of it as being Edie's, but that it very well could be.
Well, you know how you actually pronounce it? It's actually Nestle Toll House.
Nestle
Nestle
Tool
Toll
House.
House.
Wow.
So what's funny enough, so they phased out the Carnation ice cream brand, but Disneyland was allowed to keep the Carnation name. Later on, while Carnation Cafe still exists, the actual script or the look of Carnation, like the brand, has been altered, and it's no longer what it was before. Still looks old-timey, but it's not the same logo as once before. So what's funny enough is there's actually a backstory that was made for the bakery, and I feel like this had to have been made in 1997 when it took over the Carnation ice cream parlor, but maybe it was there when it initially opened in 1990.
Is it Edie's or Eddie's?
It's Edie's. I watched an old commercial for it. It's Edie's. Yeah, I finally solved
the mystery.
The mystery of the Edie's ice cream company has been solved. Good work, gang.
That works. You know, you're eating ice cream, Edie's.
Edie's eating.
Oh, you want to eat
I
Edie?
feel dumb.
Well, those stories, Joel, that you mentioned were actually published in the Disneyland line in 1997. So it's very possible that they just came out during that time period.
I was trying to figure out where those came from.
Yeah,
That's good
March
enough.
14th, 1997 in the Disneyland line.
How funny. So you want to read it, Beth?
The backstory is in the late 1800s, a talented baker and his wife left their small European town to pursue a new life in America. In no time, his tasty treats became well known throughout the town, and his friends convinced him to enter the 1901 State Fair. He was awarded first prize, a blue ribbon, in 3 of the 4 categories. The judge's mother-in-law won first place in the 4th category. He also won enough prize money to realize his lifelong dream, his own bakery, the Blue Ribbon Bakery.
Look at that.
Hey,
Now
Derek,
see.
do you know who else was a baker in a small European town in the late 1800s?
I don't want to know.
Who was
Yes,
it?
it was my great uncle.
Yeah.
Great uncle.
For those of you who don't know, Matt
Derek is gullible.
ran with this story for like 20 minutes straight, and I was like eating it all up until I finally realized the BS.
It was, well, because we got so tired of hearing Derek every time we walked anywhere in Epcot. Oh my God, it reminds me of when we were in wherever the fuck you went. And I finally got to the point where I was like, we're in France, and I'm telling Derek this elaborate, like, insanely detailed story about, like, oh yeah, my great grandfather used to sell soaps off the back of a wagon and some
France,
township in France. And Derek is like, he's holding his champagne. Oh my God, like, I can't believe, like, and I am just like literally pulling like fact after fact out of my ass, and I am just like, Derek is just, you guys,
Fiction
I wish
after
you guys
fiction.
could see the look on Derek's face. He was mind blown. I had this whole elaborate story, and
I was being nice.
and then at the very end, being nice, Derek, you were like glued to that story. And then finally at the very end, I go, hey Derek, and he's like, what? And I was like, it's all bullshit. And the look on Derek's face was priceless.
Yeah, I learned my lesson.
So it's funny that they have this elaborate backstory where, you know, we were just talking about this before when we were talking about Disneyland, right? And some of the things where is we don't want to have to research to appreciate something. When you're walking into a land, you should kind of already have an understanding of what's going on there. And this is one of those great examples, kind of like Society of Explorers and Adventurers, where it's not necessary, it's not needed, but if you do learn more about the history or some fake backstory, it's kind of cool. But it's not necessary to enjoy the Blue Ribbon Bakery.
Right. You know, regardless, it is a turn of the century bakery on Main
That's all
Street.
you need to
That's
know.
all you need
Exactly.
to know to enjoy it. Because
Right.
you're just going to get your sticky bun and your Matterhorn macaroon and
With a
be
blue
good to go.
But these backstories are good so they can have everything within the store or bakery kind of all make sense together.
Right.
So
Theme
at
to
least
that. Yeah.
it all is cohesive, right? And I heard there was a neighbor to the Blue Ribbon Baker that also has a backstory.
Yes. The Blue Ribbon Bakery has a neighbor called the Carnation Cafe. And as the Blue Ribbon grew in popularity, the enterprising baker added another European tradition to his shop, a small European-style cafe with comfortable tables and chairs. The name for the cafe was provided by his wife, whose love of the sweet, fragrant carnations was legendary. To help create a pleasant European atmosphere, she planted carnations in the window boxes surrounding the outdoor dining area.
Look at that. So unnecessary, but I love it.
I still love how every single table has a carnation on it.
Yeah.
Like to this day, it's just it's such a great touch to, keep that going.
And they really did. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the carnation is like one of my favorite places to eat on Disneyland property. I never do it in the morning because I feel like it's always kind of like rush, go. But it is my favorite place to stop in the afternoon or evening to grab loaded baked potato soup and just enjoy the pickles. Oh, fried pickles. Well, they weren't there originally, but yes, the fried pickles are so good. But I prefer sitting outside because you can just people watch. If you're lucky, you might catch a little bit of the parade. But it's just such a good place to soak up all of the Main Street atmosphere, which is one of my favorite places anyways. It's such a good spot.
I can tell you guys, in like almost having an annual pass for almost 20 years, I think I've only eaten at Carnation Cafe twice.
Really?
I like to go there for breakfast on a day that, hey, we don't have a lot to do. We're just, hey, let's go in the park. We're going to have some breakfast. Maybe we'll go on a couple rides. Of course, you can't do that right now, but you could, but you're wasting some money. But, but we've done that before, and it is a great little spot to just sit there and people watch, and especially when you're not feeling rushed, and it's a nice morning to have breakfast in that spot. They've done a lot to that area, especially if you're looking at old photos of Center Street, where it used to be truly, it looked like a street with some sidewalks. They really added some pavers or some brick in the ground and kind of made it, they leveled it out and really made it more of a true seating area for Carnation Cafe. And it was like that before they ended up, before Blue Ribbon Bakery ended up leaving in 2012. And that's when Carnation Cafe was expanded into...
Re-expanded.
So it went back into where the Carnation ice cream parlor was, which is just so funny. So that's where it really goes full circle, because it's really kind of what was there previously, and it's gone back to that. And then since the Blue Ribbon Bakery was moving out, they still wanted to have some type of bakery on Main Street, and that's where the Jolly Holiday Bakery Cafe opened at the former Plaza Pavilion at the end, right off the hub. And that was a great addition because that place sat basically
for so long unused, empty, used for like AP processing center for a long time, and
that was it.
Yeah,
it was a smart repurposing, I think.
Yeah, and especially because fun fact that the back, of course, has a kitchen, and that kitchen was to also serve Tahitian Terrace. And it was even put in that kind of spot too, because at least what I've heard, maybe I'm incorrect on my facts here, but that was to be able to use towards the Tiki Room, and that was originally supposed to be a restaurant as well. So that's kind of cool. That that kitchen was right past the doors inside the Tiki Room, and you go right behind there, and the kitchen is right there. It's just kind of neat how that all worked out, and you had potential of three restaurants all in one area sharing one kitchen. But it's good that they still have that bakery there. That bakery has some great theming and is a great spot to stop to, especially if you don't want to wait in lines for Starbucks if it's really long.
My daughter's favorite tomato soup is there.
Oh, is it?
It is good.
Yeah. Honestly, lucky for us, it was still at California Adventure at the Sonoma Terrace. They have a tasting size, which is perfect for a kid size. She ordered it twice while we were there. So she wanted 2 times to eat, was the grilled cheese sandwich and the tomato soup there. So
it is really
good. It is good. Yeah,
it is good. I mean, that's like a good just like snack.
Yeah.
So when we were trying to think of something to do for this show, I was like, what are we gonna do? And then I was like, what's something that I kind of miss that is something that's never really talked about? And I was like, Blue Ribbon Bakery. I don't know why I love that place. I think I went in there a lot after fireworks or late at night, and it was really cold outside.
Chocolate, or
those cinnamon rolls though.
They always had a good that's where I first started getting my gingerbread cookies. Were there the really soft gingerbread cookies were there? So good.
Yeah, it was just a great little spot, and it was always kind of warm in there. I felt like the heat was on extra strong on cold cold days
You
inside
gotta
that.
feel cozy in there because they
Yeah.
have that dark wood
Mhm.
and like that really like ornate feeling, which is kind of different from everything else on Main Street. Everything else on Main Street, especially on that side, is very like light and Victorian, and like everything's just kind of like bright and light. Like you think of the Emporium and everything, and that was very like this dark European wood.
It wasn't polished, you know. It wasn't. It was just like true wood feel.
It felt like if Geppetto
Yes.
owned a bakery, that's what it would be.
They should have put in, what's the name of that candy that took over the Germany pavilion?
Werther's.
Werther's?
They should have put Werther's in there, the bakery.
That'd be good. The
candy
caramel
shop.
The caramel couche.
Yes, that's what it's
Koosh.
called.
No.
What? Oh yeah,
I
you
don't
hate
like
caramel.
caramel.
I forgot you hated caramel. I forgot you were a weirdo. I mean, I didn't forget you were a weirdo. I knew that. I just forgot you hated caramel. Never since I've known Matt.
Well, because I was like, I got
You're
into this
missing
like thing
out.
where I was like, oh, caramel. I was getting caramel on everything, and then I got like a caramel macchiato one day, extra caramel, and I think I ended up with like food poisoning or something the next day, or I don't know what it was, but
Oh.
Will
I'm
you like?
missing the Koosh.
Will you like corn one day?
I don't know about that.
What?
No, see, the thing is, and that's
I'm gonna
that's not,
disown
it's
you.
not one of those things though, because I used to love corn as a kid, and as I got older, now I just don't like it.
You
What
didn't
about
get sick
street
after it.
corn?
As long as there's lots of mayonnaise on it, which is
Oh my god, gross. Okay, let's end this podcast.
That's a
Beth,
thing.
you're weird, Beth.
I am
mayonnaise on
not-
corn with the cotija cheese.
I mean, I know, but I want sour cream on it.
Chili
Don't
on
put
it?
no. Do not put mayonnaise on my corn. I don't care.
It's
have
just
you
sour
been to the
cream
Cozy
with
Cone?
egg.
I will not eat it because it has mayonnaise on it.
I'm sorry.
I know Beth's thing about mayonnaise. I used to make tuna sandwiches, and then I would send her videos of me licking the mayonnaise off.
Oh my god, it's so gross.
Well, thanks for coming along with us through Main Street USA.
So thanks for joining us on this little tour of things we missed on Main Street
Yeah, it was
and
nice
the
to
Blue Ribbon
reminisce.
Bakery. Yeah.
All right. Well, until our next happy hour, when you aren't able to join us here on Off Harbor in Maine, you can find us online. You can always find us on Twitter and Instagram. It's just simply at Off Harbor, and our personal handles are also available under the show notes. Also, drop us a line via email at podcast@offharborinmaine.com. And as always, please don't hesitate to leave us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts, or if however you're listening to us has a way to leave a rating or a review, please leave one there because it definitely helps bring some visibility to the show. And regardless, thank you just all so much for listening. We appreciate it. While no one knows for sure what we'll see or do, I do know it will be quite an adventure we will take and make together.
See you in the future.
On behalf of the birdies, flowers, and tikis here at Off Harbor and Maine,
Farewell and aloha to you.
Stay well and cheers.
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 Before we start, I need to pee. Like,
Oh, yeah, me
really,
too.
Like really bad.
Okay.
Listen, I was asked to participate for the Disney thing because I was here. I was there for
You were there
That
for
part.
it. Yeah.
Derek,
Do you remember Blue Ribbon Bakery?
what's a bakery?
Okay. So we're going to be talking about Disneyland. That's it.
It'll be a quick 20-minute podcast.
Right.
Definitely.
We've already been recording for 20 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This just leads into Steevin and Derick. Sorry, Steevin and Beth.
Who's married to who? I'm so confused.
Steevin and Matt went to
The atmosphere of it all.
bringing out the
His
lightsaber.
lightsaber.
Oh, there he goes.
Look at the
Look at him
smile.
smile. He's so happy.
Wow. Like
Okay.
two-
Oh, yeah. Everyone quiet. Let's hear it.
oh, the battery's dead.
Oh, no.
Wow. It's been a while since you've.
Played with my saber.
We have kind of been seeing some of our other friends like at brunch and stuff.
Mhm. You're what?
And what
What have you been seeing?
people?
Other what? Other
People,
friends?
friends.
I thought we were the only people who mattered. You just said it in the
You're
group
the best
chat.
friend. But
Growing up, or even as we were older, as an okay there, Beth.
I swallowed. I swallowed wrong, and then I couldn't find my mute button, and I didn't want to cough. I didn't want to like choke on everyone's ears. So I
you're
like,
just gonna joke away by yourself.
yeah, it was quietly. Okay, I'm good.
Choked to death in silence.
I don't want anyone to hear me.